Hey, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society Podcast, reminding you that this podcast is a member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. Check out all the other great podcasts on the network at selfdefenseradio.net.
Welcome to Unload and Show Clear, powered by Match Shark. Listener ready? Stand by.
Welcome to another episode of Unload and Show Clear, a podcast about the men and women who compete in IDPA matches around the world. I'm your host, Lloyd Bailey. IDPA, International Defensive Pistol Association, was formed out of the concealed carry movement back in the 1990s. It's based on the founders' desire for a sport based on real-world defensive skills and not just fancy equipment. IDPA matches are a series of stages that are based on realistic defensive scenarios, and they'll test the shooter's skills in gun handling, accuracy, speed, and problem solving. Men and women from around the world compete every week in IDPA matches, and here at Unload and Show Clear, we introduce you to those people. We talk one-on-one, people, not politics. These are not professional athletes. They're everyday men and women, your neighbors, your coworkers, public servants, your kids' teachers, and you're going to meet one of those great people today. And for 2020, Unload and Show Clear is powered by Match Shark. If you watch videos from last year's IDPA World Championship 2019, you will see that shooters had to deal with the discomfort of shooting in sometimes heavy rain. If you were at that match, or if you were with me at the 2019 Arkansas State match, you know how much fun it can be to shoot in the rain, especially heavy rain. Why do I say that? Well, pasting and scoring targets is not fun at all. Not only are you and your equipment soaked, not only are you cold and wet and damp and uncomfortable, but pasting and scoring targets makes your day even that much more fun. You can't see the scoring zones. The pasters and the tape won't stick to the targets. The targets ultimately will disintegrate because they get waterlogged and have to be changed more frequently. Well, contrast that Arkansas State match to the World Championship and compare the targets. There was a big difference. The difference was you had baggies on the Arkansas targets and you had Match Shark covering the World Championship targets. Match Shark's patent-pending target shields keep targets dry even in heavy rain. They're reusable too, so the cost of those shields is quickly recovered by simply patching and reusing them over and over and over again, because you're not shooting the shield, you're shooting the backer that holds the shield to the target stand. Well, once you're done, you just take the things off, slap a little paster on it. There's a tape paster that covers up the holes. Boom, you're set to reuse it over and over and over again. And it makes your staff happier because setup and scoring and tear down are so much easier. It makes your shooters happier because they can see the targets and they don't have to deal with plastic bags. They're designed and manufactured right here in the United States. They are owned and operated by two IDPA shooters themselves, people experienced in match direction and setup. Will and Chris Schmid, whom you've heard on this podcast, they understand the challenges that match staff face when dealing with wet weather. So let them help you run your matches faster and smarter and make it a better experience for your safety officers and your shooters. Visit matchshark.com today and get everything you need to be prepared for your next rainy day match. That's matchshark.com. Visit them today, matchshark.com. Our special guest today is Cody Hudson from Knoxville, Tennessee. Cody, welcome to the show.
Hey, Lloyd, thank you very much. It's been an honor to come on the show tonight.
Good to have you here. Tell us a little about yourself. You're on the road, I'm on the road. What do you do for a living in Knoxville?
So in Knoxville, I guess my day job is I'm a criminal investigator for a federal agency. It's one of those alphabet soups. I won't say which one, right. But you could, just one of them. Right. But that's my day job. I do criminal investigations. I little side job that I do. I teach law enforcement guys Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and coach, and I have a whole group of law enforcement guys that I typically teach on a weekly basis. They come to classes and things like that. And also, the same as you, I co-host a podcast and love to shoot.
Very cool. Tell us about the podcast.
Okay, so me and my partner in crime on the podcast, it's called the Gunjitsu Podcast, and it's all about competitive shooting. It's IDPA, USPSA shooting, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We both train Jiu-Jitsu. We're both in the law enforcement community, and it's just a different podcast we do. We do it to entertain ourselves and just hope somebody likes it.
Very cool. All right. Well, I'll be sure to include links in the show notes for folks so they can check it out. Very, very cool.
Oh, cool. Fantastic.
So, where did the interest? Are you a Tennessee native?
I am. I'm from East Tennessee. I'm a good old East Tennessee boy. Been there my whole life. Lucky to still be working in the same city and everything. So, loving every minute of it.
Nice. Where did the interest in guns come from? I can imagine East Tennessee, kind of rural. I grew up in Western North Carolina, so it's a similar right. Part of the country. How were you first introduced to guns?
So, funny thing is, I'm not a long gun guy. Long guns, nothing against them. I'm just getting into PRS stuff.
Oh.
But that's kind of a new adventure. I just got me a long gun for that. But my love for guns is nothing more than pistols. That has been my bread and butter. I think the first time I put my hands on a pistol was with my father at 5 years old.
Wow.
And it was he let me shoot a Beretta, an old Beretta 92 model. And I believe it or not, I still have that gun. He's had it all these years and gifted it to me probably about 12 years ago. And that thing just sits in my safe. It's at this point, it's a safe queen, but it's got more sentimental value to me than anything else.
That's awesome. And that's interesting because so many of our guests come from the other direction. They're introduced to firearms starting with long guns, and then it's years before they ever pick up a handgun. You started the other direction.
I did. My dad has always been a handgun guy, all kinds of different handguns, 1911s, Berettas, plastic guns. It's always been some sort of pistol. And so my love has just been for that. I've got much love for the Beretta 92, and I think it reverts back to the old Lethal Weapon movies.
Right.
Just seeing Mel Gibson with that Beretta, and then just the involvement of that movie over all the sequels and stuff that just really locked me into being a pistol guy.
Gotcha. So what was the motivation or the interest in law enforcement?
So my first year in college, I was an engineering major, and I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about, man, do I really want to do this? I'd always had that love in the back of my mind of, serving my community, serving the people, and everything like that. So
carrying a Beretta 92.
Yeah, you never know. If they wanted to issue me one, I'd probably be a happy camper. I would not stray away from that by any means. I would be more than happy to carry that. But I was just setting my freshman year of college, engineering major, and I was like, man, I don't want to do this. I've always had that calling, as you'll maybe call it or whatever, just in the back of my head, like I want to do something fun. And I told my girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife, actually in 2 days from now, be our 10th wedding anniversary, been together 16 and a half years.
Awesome.
I said, I don't want to be an engineer. I want to be a cop. And she's like, huh?
What?
So I actually changed my major, got a worthless associate's degree in criminal justice, and went to work. Just immediately applied at the sheriff's office and went to work, and was out of school for several years. And I was like, man, you know what? I really need to do my bachelor's degree. I just got so caught up into wanting to be a policeman that I even put my degree on hold. And I went back several years later and got my bachelor's degree, but I'm on my 13th year now in law enforcement. I've worked from the local level. I've worked for the city police department, and now I'm on the federal side of things. But I've worked a lot of different stuff. I've worked patrol divisions. I've been assigned to organized crime, narcotics, gangs, investigation units, just a bunch of different stuff over the years. And now I've kind of slowed down, and I'm in the investigations unit for a federal agency. So it's been a fun ride so far.
Well, how did you get introduced to competitive shooting?
So that's kind of a funny thing. I will call myself a competitive procrastinator. It was probably back in, I'll say probably 2007, 2008. It was actually 2008. My wife went to grad school, and I, like I said, always loving pistols. I've always, every now and then, you might see something pop up on the internet, or you might see that one lucky time that there's some sort of shooting something on TV and whatnot. And I was like, man, I want to do this competitive shooting stuff. But my biggest problem with it was I didn't know where to start. This was 2008, wanting to get into competitive shooting, but not knowing how to. I didn't have any buddies that did it. I didn't know where to find a match. I didn't know anything about it. So it was one of those things that was just always lingering in the back of my head. So many years passed by. I just got into competitive shooting, I guess now about 3.5 years ago. So it was the spring of 2017. I had a real good friend of mine that's also the other co-host of the Gunjitsu Podcast and former co-worker of mine at a local police agency. But he texted me one day and was like, hey, why don't you come shoot this IDPA match with me? It's going to make your shooting so much better. And so I took him up on his offer, and it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was March of 2017. I signed up for my very first IDPA match, and I went out to shoot it with my buddy. And our home club, which now I'm a member of that shooting club, the Oak Ridge Sportsman Association.
Right.
I joined after shooting out there for probably a year or so, and then I joined. But I went out there, shot that match, and was immediately hooked. It was an 8-stage match on a Saturday. They're typical, now that I have experience in it, their Saturday matches are pretty competitive. They run them almost like a tiered match, to be honest with you, because they have even started capping the matches at like 130 shooters on a Saturday, the first Saturday of each month. So they're like, they got a lot of pretty good people out there, but I will never forget the number. I placed 68th out of, 100 plus shooters that were out there that day. And I was like, well, it wasn't the worst one, but I was like, I know I got it in me to be better. So that really, really kicked off the competitive shooting for me. And I really don't think I've missed a match. I try to shoot at least one a month now, ever since that day, but I got eat up with it. As soon as I fired my last round on the 8th stage and went home that day, I was like, is there another match tomorrow? Is there one Monday? Is there one Tuesday? When can I go back? And I spent the next month, I didn't go shoot. I didn't practice. I sat reading the IDPA rule book because I'm nerdy like that. And I was like,
is that the engineer in you?
It must be, because I read that thing and read it, and I'm no knowledgeable guy on the rules or anything like that, but I read it because I remember that first match. I only fired the round count for the whole stage. I didn't make up any shots. I didn't know I could do that. The SO literally said 2 per paper, and I ran around and I shot 2 per paper. And I got back reading that book. I was like, oh man, I can make up these shots. I can do this. I can do that. I was like, oh, this is awesome. So the very next month rolls around, and I go back to my second match, and out of another 100+ shooters, I think I ended up placing somewhere in the high 20s or low 30s, something like that. And I go, wow, I've cut that in half just by reading the rule book because I started making up shots.
So after getting hooked but not wanting to go out and dry fire or practice, what we had a guest on, Scott Longhorn. I think he was like episode 14, and I asked him about this, and he said, practicing is for people who want to be perfect. So
right.
I just want to shoot matches.
Yeah,
so
that's it. I just want to shoot. I just want to move quick and shoot. But no, I have incorporated now. It is kind of a normal thing now. My buddies give me a hard time. I'm in a little group of guys that we all push each other. Everybody I shoot with in our group, we meet once a week at the range. I go when I can, but they're religious about it. Everybody's a master class shooter in the group, so we really push each other to do better. And I get that. They go, yeah, if you dry fired this week, you probably wouldn't have botched that stage. So I have tried to incorporate more dry fire and movements. I've built little dry fire stages in my garage now, and I try to work on some movements and things like that before I get out to the match. But I'm definitely not super religious about the dry fire, but I've tried to incorporate that more now.
Right. So how long after that first match where you got hooked, how long was it before you really jumped in and started buying all the different guns for the different divisions and going out and trying a sanction match?
Yeah, so for me, it was after that first match, shooting that Glock 23, I was immediately hooked, and I went out and ordered that 5-inch 2.0 and 9mm. I had it by the second match and was ready to go. But when I say I was hooked, I was hooked into the matches, but I didn't realize how hooked I was getting and everything. It was like, if I took a month off from shooting a match, I'd be like, it's okay. I'll get back out there next month. But, I always tried to shoot once a month. But then my shooting buddy, he starts hunting. I guess I'm not a big hunter, but he starts hunting in the end of September, October, sometime around there. So he kind of falls off the shooting circuit there for a few months in the late fall into winter.
Right.
And so I ended up taking that first 2017 on. I shot from March up through September, and then really didn't shoot a match again until I want to say it was January of 18. And then 2018 is when I became a member at my local shooting club.
Right.
Because I had sought out Forces, one of those membership type things where you got to get sponsored by another member.
Right.
And so I kind of sought out somebody that I knew out there and asked them to sponsor me because I said, hey, I want to take my shooting to the next level. I really want to be able to come out here. I want to practice. I want to shoot more matches, all that type of stuff. So 2018, I shot every single IDPA match that the club offered out there. So I shot one every month. So I shot 12 of those. And then a mutual friend of mine that we all shoot together, a good friend of ours, his name is Rich, and his business partner is Mike Seeklander. I'm sure you know that name.
Yep.
And Mike was coming into town, and he was putting on a competitive shooting course. And my buddy that got me into it said, hey, we got Mike coming in, just sign up for the class. And I go, well, who's this Mike guy? He's like, just stop asking questions. Just sign up for the class. It'll take your shooting to another level and everything. I said, okay, well, I'll do it. So I paid the money. Mike came into town. It was a 2-day course, which was really eye-opening. It really gave me some awesome stuff. And part of the course, with us having mutual friends with Mike and stuff, he stuck around, and we got 2 days. We got 2 days of his shooting course, his competitive shooting course, and that was on like a Thursday, Friday. And then 2018 was the Tennessee State Championship that was held at Orsa, and it was a Tier 3 match. That was my very first tiered IDPA match. So I signed up for it, and we talked to them. They actually gave us a private squad, so everybody that took Mike's class could all be in the same squad. And Mike actually helped us, stage plan, and it was kind of like on the house type thing. It wasn't
Nice.
part of his class, but we had a national champion shooter saying, "Hey, I'd run the stage like this," or "Hey, you might want to do that." So it was like private training, and so it was really, really good. And I shot the CCP division. That's like my favorite division in IDPA. I just really like shooting my compact guns. And I don't know, it gets my wheels turning in my head on stage planning, having
Right.
less round counts and things like that. I just really like it. So we shot that whole match, and at the end of it, another buddy of mine walked up, and I remember because in IDPA you have to have a classifier to shoot it. So about a month prior to that, and I'll get back to that story, but I really wanted to shoot this tiered match that was coming up to Tennessee State, but I was like, man, I've been reading these rules. You've got to have a classifier, and I don't know when they're holding the classifier. So I ended up talking to the club, and they're like, hey, we're going to hold one this day. So I ended up shooting the old classifier, the 72 round. What was that, 3 or 4 strings of fire?
Right.
I shot it on 2 different occasions, and I got like low or middle of the pack in the sharpshooter classification.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, well, whatever. I mean, I guess that's what I am. In my mind, I felt like I was better than that, but I guess I really wasn't. You know how that goes.
Yep. But
So,
you didn't even get to wade in the kiddie pool to begin with, though.
I immediately started IDPA out in the sharpshooter category, and so come June of 18, I registered in CCP as a sharpshooter, and I shot that match. And at the end of the match, they called my name up, and I won the division. I won not the whole division. I won the CCP sharpshooter division.
Nice.
And I was like, no way. I was like, how did this happen? And I was like, okay, cool. Well, that's great. And everything. What does that mean? And my buddy walked by and he goes, that means you just entered the expert division. And I was like, huh? I was like, that's how that works? And he's like, yep, congratulations. You got a match bump off of shooting that. So I was like, right on. Well, this is fun. So I just realized, I looked at, and I've always been like a numbers guy, so I kind of went in and the scores, and I looked at my numbers, how fast I shot, the raw time and the total time and all that, and I kind of looked at all those numbers, and then I compared it to the guys that were in the CCP expert class, and I go, oh, wow, I've got a lot to learn, because I wasn't close to the bottom guy in that division,
Yeah.
but I ended up being on top for that sharpshooter division. So I was like, wow, the water's getting a little deeper now.
Yeah.
So I'll be honest with you, I don't want to sound like a sandbagger by any means, but I didn't think I was ready for that expert bump, and I had registered for 2 weeks later. I had been signed up for a few months to shoot the Virginia State Championship. So I was like, I don't know if I'm ready just to go shoot a tiered match in this expert division. So I switched my division, and I shot enhanced service pistol with my 5-inch gun in sharpshooter. And I know that probably sounds bad, and I don't want it to, but like you get where I was coming from. I was new to this. I really hadn't been pushed all that much. So I go out to the Virginia State Championship, and it was in Bristol, Virginia.
Right.
I went out 2 weeks after getting that bump in the CCP division, and I shot that match, and I actually won that division. I won ESP sharpshooter out of, I forgot how many shooters were in it, 10, I don't know, I forgot the multiplier on it. There's probably like 15 people in it or so, something like that. I can't remember, but I was like, okay, well, I looked at the numbers again. I'm still really low in that whole expert category, but I was like, well, I've got 2 match bumps, 2 different divisions. I said, I can't dilly-dally anymore. I've got to kind of turn it up. And the next classifier they had was the 5x5. And I went out there and I shot it. It was, I got expert in, all my divisions then. I just went ahead and shot it. So it was just kind of universal across the board and everything. So it wasn't, staggered or anything like that. Because the last thing, I didn't want to go shoot SSP and sharpshooter. And you know what I mean? I just didn't want to be that guy and do all that. I was just new enough where I was kind of playing around with it, and then I realized, well, if I've done this back to back, I don't need to do it a third time.
Right.
So, that was pretty much all of my tiered matches for 2018. I just kept shooting IDPA matches. I shot every one of them. I really didn't shoot. I don't think I shot any USPSA or anything like that all of 2018. I was just concentrating on IDPA. And then, so I finished out the rest of the year through December, and then 2019 January comes around, and I'm right back shooting those IDPA matches, and I'm shooting ESP expert division, and I get up to like March, and I want to say the match was another Tier 3 match, and it was in Spencer, Tennessee at the Dead Zero shooting park.
Right.
So I go to that one, and all I had on my mind was, I was like, I'm making master class. I said, I do not want to shoot a classifier. I have no desire to shoot a classifier. I really want this match bump. And I go to that. I think it was called the Rocky Top Rumble.
Right.
And I get dusted. I mean, I got smoked. I don't even know where I placed. I put it somewhere else in my mind. I just know that I wasn't close. And then the Virginia state championship rolled back around, and I was like, well, this is my next chance. I'm going to shoot ESP expert division, and I'm going to go for that master class bump in this match. And I go out there, and I remember this match. It was a long day, and I got smoked again, and I ended up taking second place in ESP expert. I got my little plaque and all that. But when I went back to practice score and started looking at those times and stuff, man, that first place guy, he just dusted the floor with me. He had, I think, over a 12-second lead on me between first and second. So next tiered match was rolling around. It was Tennessee States again, and they were holding the Tennessee States down at the Dead Zero shooting park. And I drove down there. And I was, a few weeks prior to that, I was really pretty pumped up. I got second in Virginia in ESP expert, signed up ESP expert for Tennessee, and was just chomping away at the bit. And the first 5 stages was, honest to goodness, it was rough shooting. I just was not feeling it. I was not doing well. In my eyes, I was not doing well. And then we got jammed up. Well, there was a pretty good backup on, I want to say it was like the 5th or 6th stage. So I was like halfway through the match. And then we were just kind of lagging around, just sitting around. And I just started relaxing, sitting on the bench. My buddy said I may have even taken a nap while sitting on the bench waiting for us to get up on that stage. But I think it re-energized me. I got back into the groove of things, and we finished the match. And my buddy's like, you want to stick around for awards? And I was like, no, I didn't get an award, and I have no desire to stick around. I was like, we got a 2-hour drive. I said, I sucked it up the first portion of the day. I just want to go home. He said, I agree. Let's go. So we got in the car.
Oh, no.
eastbound and down. We got back to Knoxville and everything, and pull up practice score. He goes, "Dude, you're a master now." And I go, "What?" And he goes, "Yep, you won your division. You won ESP expert." And I was like, "No, I didn't. Don't play games with me." And it really didn't sink in with me until they uploaded to IDPA, got the scores and everything, and I could log into my account and see that capital M and A next to my name on ESP and everything. I truly had no idea. Just the way sometimes you feel.
Yep.
I just felt it in my stomach. I was like, that was another one. That was like the Rocky Top Rumble that just, ate my breakfast. I was like, I'm ready to go. I'm just ready to go home. It's been a long day. And drove away from my master class bump there. Didn't even get to enjoy the moment.
I know, and that's interesting because I've asked that question, sort of asked a follow-up question for a lot of our guests, and asked, what did that day feel like? And for most of the people who, when they get that big match bump, they felt like it was a good day, that the shooting was going well for them, and they weren't surprised to find out that they got the bump at the end. For you, you had no idea until you were already 2 hours gone.
It was because I remember the day. I don't remember the stage number, but I could take you right now back out to that range, and I could show you the bay we were on and where I was setting. I remember all of that, and I remember I'm pretty sure it was a 10-stage match, and it was a tier 3 match, and the first 5 stages were terrible. I mean, I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I was messing with my own head, just overthinking about wanting that bump so bad,
right?
Or what? But when I got jammed up and just sitting around doing nothing, I was so tired because we had to get up so early and drive down there.
Right.
I just kind of leaned my head back in that hot sun and closed my eyes. And next thing I know, the next 5 felt like they started coming together. So I really did feel that, like, hey, you're not doing well. Hey, you're doing all right now. So I guess it was just enough.
So you started out in CCP. You're a master now in ESP. You talked about how your next goal is for 2020, if 2020 ever finally gets off the ground, is carry optics. What made you decide to go that direction, and what do you like about the red dot?
So I have to say I'm an iron sight guy through and through. But as I said earlier, I make a joke, and it's not a joke, but I say the ADD kicks in and everything. It's always, for me, it's like I get bored easily. And in competitive shooting, you really don't get bored with all the different stages and things like that. But when I start looking at my own gear and equipment, I'm like, I want to do something different. I went out and I shot one match. Crazy enough, I bought a Glock 21. I bought the cheapest holster I could find was like one of those like $39 Blade Tech holsters for it.
Right.
And I just wanted to shoot the CDP class one time and just see if I like shooting a 45 in a match.
Right.
I went out, shot the match with it, and I was like, okay, that was fun. I'm over that. I'm done. And
on to the next thing.
Around, on to the next one. I turned around, sold the gun, threw the holster in with it, and then I went the single stack route. What I say single stack? I bought a STI Trojan 1911 in 9mm, and I started shooting ESP with that gun.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a learning curve for me. I have never been a 1911 guy, and then here I'm using 9mm and 1911 in the same sentence. So I know there's people probably cringing right now going, ugh.
You shot a Glock in 45 and a 1911 in 9mm.
Yeah. So that really goes together, doesn't it?
John Browning is spinning in his grave.
Yes, and I apologize up front. But I bought that gun, and just because it was different, I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And I enjoyed that gun for a little while, and then I really didn't touch my 5-inch M&P for a while, and I was just really on that CCP kick. And then after I made master class with the 5-inch gun, I was like, what's the next thing? And I was like, hey, let's put a red dot on this gun. And I was like, you know what? In my mind, I'm just going to, whether I get bored or not, I'm going to make 2020 nothing more than a red dot here. If December 31st comes around, I'm done with it. I'm done with it. But I'm going to give it a good go and see how it goes and everything. I may end up, part of me kind of wants to revert back around and get the 9mm 1911 out, shoot it some more in DSP and maybe single stack and things like that.
Right. So as we kind of wrap things up here, what is it about the sport that keeps you coming back? What is it about it that you love? There are other shooting disciplines out there that you could involve yourself in, but you keep coming back to IDPA. What is it about the sport that's fun for you?
I just can't stay away from it. It's what I love about it is, and it's like other competitive pistol things, but it's just these different stages. I never go out to a club match and like, hey, we shot this stage last month, but we shot it the month before. It's just always something new, so it keeps that fresh in my mind. Like I keep reverting back to undiagnosed ADD. If I came out and I shot the same 8 stages for 12 months in a row, I'd probably be done competitive shooting.
Yeah.
But being able to continually come out and see a new stage plan, different scenarios, things like that, it really keeps my wheels turning, and it makes me want to be a better shooter. It just, and in a guy like me that carries a gun for a living, I feel like I owe it to myself and the community to be the best that I can be at it. I think you really need to realize, hey, one qualification a year is not enough to be efficient on anything. So, hey, go shoot a match. It costs $10, $15 and, bring you 150 rounds of ammo. Go out there once a month and just have fun. And while you're having fun, you're learning a skill, whether it's taught or self-learned. You're going to learn how to do things better the more you do it. You're going to just naturally become efficient and everything. So I just think that's kind of my love that's coming back to IDPA and everything is, and plus, hey, you get to wear this cool fishing vest and try to get it out of the way and get
that's right.
stuff and all that. And that kind of goes back to what I do for a living. Every now and then I get attached to executive protection details and things like that. And I wear a suit and tie to work. But what's funny about underneath that suit jacket is you will find my exact IDPA setup as far as gear goes. It's the very similar holster and mag pouches, and it's set up, and I wear them exactly where I compete with. So I feel very efficient because I practice all the time with that type of equipment and where I have it set up.
Well, Cody, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. Thank you for spending a little time with us and sharing your experiences. I look forward to hopefully things improve this year, or we could just start over and just jump straight to 2021. That would be good too. And we could, if we could just get out on the range, I'd look forward to a chance to see you face to face.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much. I very much enjoyed this, and I love what you guys are doing over there at Unload Show Clear, and I wish you guys the very best, and thank you again for having me on today.
You bet. All right, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for your support. Thank you to our guest for coming on the show. And thank you to our awesome sponsor, Match Shark, for making this entire season possible. If you would, please take a minute to check out our website, Unload Podcast. Lots of cool previous episodes are there, links to all sorts of great information. Just check out the guest list as well. Join the Facebook group too if you want to connect with other fans and get updates on the latest news. You can find that at unloadpodcast.com/Facebook. Check out our YouTube channel. We've got a lot of cool videos there at unloadpodcast.com/YouTube. And if you'd like to support the show personally, consider becoming a patron, just $1 a month at patreon.com/unload. And for your support, I'll send you out a sticker and you'll have my undying gratitude for your help. If you or someone you know would make an interesting guest for a future episode, you can contact me at unloadpodcast.com. Just go to the contact button in the menu at the top of the page and send me a message. Or you can send me an email at Lloyd, LLOYD, at unloadpodcast.com. Tune in again next Thursday for another episode of Unload and Show Clear, powered by Match Shark. We are a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. Be sure to check out all of the other pro-freedom podcasts at selfdefenseradio.net.